and greenish yellowish. She watched it. Soon she saw it was Jason Squiff's head and hair. And then she knew the cistern was being cleaned and Jason Squiff was on the job. So she sang tra-la-la and went back into the house and told her mother Jason Squiff was on the job. The last bucketful of slush and mud came at last for Jason Squiff. He squinted at the bottom. Something was shining. He reached his fingers down through the slush and mud and took out what was shining. It was the gold buckskin whincher Blixie Bimber lost from the gold chain around her neck the week before when she was looking down into the cistern to see what she could see. It was exactly the same gold buckskin whincher shining and glittering like a sign of happiness. "It's luck," said Jason Squiff, wiping his fingers on his greenish yellowish hair. Then he put the gold buckskin whincher in his vest pocket and spoke to himself again. "It's luck." A little after 6 o'clock that night, Jason Squiff stepped into his house and home and said hello to his wife and daughters. They all began to laugh. Their laughter was a ticklish laugh. "Something funny is happening," he said. "And you are it!" They all laughed at him again with ticklish laughs. Then they showed him. His hat was popcorn, his mittens popcorn, and his shoes popcorn. He didn't know the gold buckskin whincher had a power and was working all the time. He didn't know the whincher in his vest pocket was saying, "You have a letter Q in your name, and because you have the pleasure and happiness of having a Q in your name, you must have a popcorn hat, popcorn mittens, and popcorn shoes." The next morning he put on another hat, another pair of mittens, and another pair of shoes, and the minute he put them on they changed to popcorn. So he tried on all his hats, mittens, and shoes. Always they changed to popcorn the minute he had them on. He went downstairs to the stores. He bought a new hat, mittens, and shoes, and the minute he had them on they changed to popcorn. So he decided he would go to work and clean cisterns with his popcorn hat, popcorn mittens, and popcorn shoes on. The people of the Village of Cream Puffs enjoyed watching him walk up the street going to clean cisterns. People 5 and 6 blocks away could see him coming and going with his popcorn hat, popcorn mittens, and popcorn shoes. When he was down in a cistern, the children enjoyed looking down into the cistern to see him work. When none of the slush and mud fell on his hat and mittens, he was easy to find. The light of the shining popcorn lit up the whole inside of the cistern. Sometimes, of course, the white popcorn got full of black slush and black mud. And then when Jason Squiff came up and walked home, he was not quite so dazzling to look at. It was a funny winter for Jason Squiff. "It's a crime, a dirty crime," he said to himself. "Now I can never go alone with my thoughts. Everybody looks at me when I go up the street. If I meet a funeral, even the pallbearers begin to laugh at my popcorn hat. If I meet people going to a wedding, they throw all the rice at me as if I am a bride and groom all together. The horses try to eat my hat wherever I go. 3 hats I have fed to horses this winter. And if I accidentally drop one of my mittens, the chickens eat it." Then Jason Squiff began to change. He became proud. "I always wanted a white beautiful hat like this white popcorn hat," he said to himself. "And I always wanted white beautiful mittens and white beautiful shoes like these white popcorn mittens and shoes." When the boys yelled, "Snowman, yaddy-daddy-da, snowman," he just waved his hand to them with an upward gesture of his arm to show he was proud of how he looked. "They all watch me," he said to himself. I am distinguished, am I not?" he asked himself. And he put his right hand into his left hand and shook hands with himself and said, "You certainly look fixed up." One day he decided to throw away his vest. In the vest pocket was the gold buckskin whincher with the power working, the power saying, "You have a letter Q in your name, and because you have the pleasure and happiness of having a Q in your name, you must have a popcorn hat, popcorn mittens, and popcorn shoes." Yes, he threw away the vest. He forgot all about the gold buckskin whincher being in the vest. He just handed the vest to a rag man. The rag man put the vest with the gold buckskin whincher in a bag on his back and walked away. After that, Jason Squiff was like other people. His hats would never change to popcorn, nor his mittens to popcorn, nor his shoes to popcorn. And when anybody looked at him down in a cistern cleaning the cistern, or when anybody saw him walking along the street, they knew him by his greenish yellowish hair, which was always full of bright lights. And so, if you have a Q in your name, be careful if you ever come across a gold buckskin whincher. Remember, different whinchers have different powers. The Story of Rags Habakuk, the Two Blue Rats, and the Circus Man Who Came with Spot Cash Money. Rags Habakuk was going home. His day's work was done. The sun was down. Street lamps began shining. Burglars were starting on their night's work. It was no time for an honest ragman to be knocking on people's back doors saying, "Any rags?" Or else saying, "Any rags, any bottles, any bones?" Or else saying, "Any rags, any bottles, any bones, any old iron, any copper, brass, old shoes all run down and no good to anybody today? Any old clothes, old coats, pants, vests? I take any old clothes you got." Yes, Rags Habakuk was going home. In the gunny sack bag on his back, humped up on top of the rag humps in the bag, was an old vest. It was the same old vest Jason Squiff threw out of a door at Rags Habakuk. In the pocket of the vest was the gold buckskin whincher with a power in it. Well, Rags Habakuk got home just like always, sat down to supper and smacked his mouth and had a big supper of fish just like always. And then he went out to a shanty in the backyard and opened up the gunny sack rag bag and fixed things out classified just like every day when he came home he opened the gunny sack bag and fixed things out classified. The last thing of all he fixed out classified was the vest with the gold buckskin whincher in the pocket. "Put it on, it's a glad rag," he said, looking at the vest. "It's a lucky vest." So he put his right arm in the right armhole and his left arm in the left armhole, and there he was with his arms in the armholes of the old vest all fixed out classified new. Next morning Rags Habakuk kissed his wife goodbye and his 18-year-old girl goodbye and his 19-year-old girl goodbye. He kissed them just like he always kissed them, in a hurry, and as he kissed each one he said, "I will be back soon, if not sooner, and when I come back I will return." Yes, up the street went Rags Habakuk, and soon as he left home something happened. Standing on his right shoulder was a blue rat, and standing on his left shoulder was a blue rat. The only way he knew they were there was by looking at them. There they were, close to his ears. He could feel the far edge of their whiskers against his ears. "This never happened to me before all the time I've been picking rags," he said. "Two blue rats stand by my ears. and never say